Hello, this is Luv Gunn from the HaloWheelmen here with an invasion review, and this is Holdout. Now, one thing I like about Holdout is that it uses the standard invasion game type, meaning elites attacking, territories, core. Now, as we do a quick overhead fly through, you can see the first tier, the second tier are pretty well divided. They've got these awnings, these pagodas. Really, the map overall has some good definable areas that you use for callouts, you can use for spawning battle buddies. You see a phantom off in the distance, that's where we're going to take the core for tier 3. Holdout was made by Bullet to the Head 9, and I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description to the Forge Hub thread. That way you can check out pictures, maybe drop a response once the thread gets unlocked. Luckily that won't stop us, because we can just put our review in video form. Now there's a lot of things that Holdout has done that I like. I like that it's a pretty asymmetric map, much like Invasion itself. He didn't stress too much on making everything perfectly symmetrical. He also ensured that it was proper Spartans versus elites. He didn't give the elites, a sniper rifle, a warthog. He didn't give the Spartans a banshee. Sometimes people try to force balance on a game that isn't meant to be symmetrical. He also used fire team spawning, which is something I'm a real big stickler for. He made sure that there was left, right, middle fire teams. He didn't kind of let everyone spawn on everybody like Invasion Skirmish. So that's some good things about the map. There are some things that Holdout does differently. It's not necessarily good or bad. One of those things is it does not have a Phase 1, Phase 2 separator. Most maps have a wall or shield doors. He doesn't have that. He doesn't even have a kill zone, which that's the real problem, because what could happen is that elites could push forward, spawn their buddies behind the Spartans. They could spawn kill, they could move up to the next phase before the first phase is even finished. One of the other things he does on this map is he doesn't have any aerial vehicles. The map has no Falcon, no Banshee. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just something he did differently. Makes it play uniquely, so I guess that's a good thing. And now to the bad things. Believe it or not, this map is not perfect. One of the first things I noticed is that there's some disco issues on the map. Which disco is when objects pop in and out of render because there's so many on the map it's not quite sure which to render and it's not quite sure what you're looking at. There are easy ways to fix this. You could reduce your budget, reduce your object count, gate objects in and out. I don't know how easy that would be to do on this map since most of his objects are structural. Things like the Phantom, things like the pagodas for the first and second tier. Other problems I had with the map were his weapon and vehicle balance. They just weren't right. One of the problems I noticed early on is that the first phase, Spartans get 3 DMRs and they're kind of up on a high perch. The first phase is so small, so short, that those 3 DMRs could really upset the balance. I mean, they just pick off elites right off spawn. Couple of the other issues real quick. There weren't nearly enough kill zones around the map. There was kind of a hard kill floating up in the air, but people can jetpack just about anywhere, so you really need to kill zone off a lot of your roofing, a lot of the structure up high to make sure people don't exploit that. I didn't like the mongoose in the second and third phase. One, because it's not really an invasion thing, but the other reason I don't like it is because Spartans already spawn all over the map with high ground advantage. I don't think they really need the mongoose to get from A to B quickly because they already have a established presence. It doesn't help that elites have to take the core from the core structure further into Spartan territory and up high ground. That's a terrible idea. And last but not least, my final qualm with this map is that there were not enough delaying elements from blocking the spawns to the territories. Delaying elements can be anything from cover to shield doors to a vehicle, anything. Basically, it's for 2 reasons. One is so that you can't be spawn killed as soon as you spawn from the territory, and 2, it's so that you can't shoot the territory instantly off spawn. So what ended up happening was people could just spawn right in front of the vehicles, here are the warthogs, and they could just immediately shoot into the territories, and vice versa. If you're capturing the territory, you could completely lock down a spawn just by grenading it, by shooting it, by concussion rifles, whatever, you name it. The map really needs to have something to kind of block off the spawns and the objectives. Really, the map is better than 90% of all the invasion maps I've ever seen. Overall, though, I'd have to give it about a 6.5, 7 out of 10. The reasons being the lack of kill zones and just overall polish. The weapons and the weapon placement, the lack of aerial vehicles, Tier 1, Tier 2 divider, and the fact that you have to take the core further into Spartan territory. Just was awful, really. But overall, I think just about everybody had fun on the map. There were some good times, there were some good fights, there was some vehicle play, there was armor lock, basically everything you come to expect from Invasion. So that's Holdout in a nutshell. Let me know what you think. If you played the map before, feel free to post below in the comments. Let us know what you thought about it. I'll leave a link to the original Forge Hub thread and the gamer tag of the author in the description. Until next time, this is Luv Gunn from HaloWheelmen.com.